heritage and history. Who are you? What is your cultural, ethnic, and religious heritage? How and where were you socialized to the roles and rules of your family, community, and occupation? Don't answer these questions too quickly because they're more complex than they seem. The foundation for cultural competence rests in the knowledge and understanding of our own heritage as well as the heritage of others. So let's look at heritage. Heritage refers to the degree to which a person's lifestyle reflects his or her traditional culture, such as being African, American Indian, Asian, Hispanic, or European. The values indicating heritage, consistency, exist on a continuum, and a person can possess valuable characteristics of both a consistent heritage, traditional, and an inconsistent heritage, acculturated. It has been shown that individuals who identify greatly with their traditional heritage are significantly more likely to have health and illness beliefs and practices that differ from those of the mainstream society and modern healthcare providers. For example, one study reported that American Indians who identify highly with their tribal culture were treated for alcoholism by a medicine man. The outcome was more favorable than with treatment in the modern culture. Other examples of heritage consistency. Jamal was raised in the African American section of a rural neighborhood in the Florida Panhandle and was exposed only to the culture, language, foods, and custom of that group. Gloria went to Catholic school from grades K through 12, and most social activities were church related. Carmine's grandmother regularly looks at her old photos and talks longingly about returning to the old country, Italy. Culture. Culture is a very powerful determinant of health and health behaviors. It is a dynamic, fluid, ever changing, and complex force in the lives of individuals, groups, and communities. Culture affects perceptions of health and illness, beliefs about why and how illness occurs, behaviors that promote or prevent good health, how symptoms are described and how concerns are expressed, and how treatment is pursued and adhered to. Since many health behaviors are culturally determined, it means that they can be changed to reduce health risk and health outcomes. Efforts to promote health and prevent disease should target individuals, families, groups, or communities. There is no single definition of culture that is universally accepted, but it is generally agreed that culture is learned, shared, and transmitted from one generation to the next. The Office of Minority Health defines culture as the thoughts, communications, actions, customs, beliefs, values, and institutions of racial, ethnic, religious, or social groups. To a large extent, culture makes us who we are, and it exists in both our minds and our environment. All facets of human behavior can be interpreted through the lens of culture, and everything can be related to and from it. Culture can be seen in a group's beliefs, values, norms, customs, practices, art, morals, laws, systems of meaning, ways of life, and other social regularities. Culture helps specify what behaviors are acceptable in any given society, when they are acceptable, and what is not acceptable. Since we are simultaneously members of different cultures, our lives also embrace several cultures. For example, we can be nationalistic, ethnic, religious, gender, and gender can have men's culture as well as women's culture as subcultures. Location, urban culture, rural culture. And age, we can talk about youth culture as well as elder culture. 5 basic criteria for defining a culture: having a common pattern of communication, sound system, or language unique to the group, similarities in dietary preferences and preparation methods, common patterns of dress, predictable relationships and socialization patterns between members of the culture, and a common set of shared values and beliefs. Cultural phenomena affecting health include time orientation, personal space and territorialism, communication, social organization and environment, biological variations, and environmental control. And we will discuss these in more depth over the semester. Now let's look at ethnicity. Cultural background is a fundamental component of one's ethnic background. Ethnicity refers to the identity with or membership in a particular racial, national, or cultural group, and observance of that group's customs, beliefs, religion, and language. Ethnic ties transcend kinship, neighborhood, and community boundaries. There are at least 106 ethnic groups in the US and more than 500 distinct American Indian nations. Other terms related to ethnicity are ethnocentrism, which is the belief in the superiority of one's own ethnic group, and an overriding concern with race. And then xenophobia, which is a morbid, irrational fear of foreigners, which often leads to violence and discrimination. And the behavioral manifestation of these phenomena are stereotypes, racism, and discrimination, and as I mentioned, violence. Religion. The third major component of heritage consistency is religion. And the Office of Minority Health defines religion as a set of beliefs, values, and practices based on the teachings of a spiritual leader. Ethnicity and religion are clearly related, and one's religion quite often determines one's ethnic group. Religious teachings in relation to health help us to understand the specific values, norms, and ethics to which the client subscribes, but also to what we also subscribe to. Illness is sometimes seen as a punishment for the violation of religious codes and morals. Socialization, acculturation, and assimilation. Socialization or enculturation is the process by which we learn from others. It is the process of being raised within a culture and acquiring the characteristics of that group. We begin learning from others during the early days of life, and
Hey,
that
can you hear
social
me okay?
learning continues through
Hi,
life.
how are you?
The main
Great.
agents of
I am
socialization are
coming in
the
here.
family,
Obviously, our
school, and
exam
religious
is today, so I
organization.
wanted to just, you know, just get some
Sometimes
feedback
the
on
learning is fun, as
what
when we
it's
learn to ride
like.
a bike from our
I have
father
it's
or
open
learn to
notes,
cook a
right?
traditional meal from our grandmother. At other
Hmm.
times, social learning is painful,
Hmm.
as when we learn not to
Hmm.
skip school and got detention, or not to run a
Um,
stop sign
really
and
just
got a
I'm just really
ticket.
anxious, so I have all of my notes printed here.
Immigrants
Um,
from
is
non
it going to be
Western
like very
countries
specific
often find
stuff,
socialization
like
into the American culture to be an extremely difficult
mhm.
and painful process. They may experience biculturalism, which is a dual pattern of
Hmm. Is it
identification
those
and
weekly questions that
often
we
of
do?
divided
Will those
loyalty.
also be in there? It says like 50% of
Acculturation
them?
is the broad term
Okay.
that we use to describe the
Hmm.
process of adapting to and
Yeah.
becoming
I like
absorbed
those. We
into
had
the dominant social culture.
Dr. Garcia,
The
I think.
overall
That was
process
the
of
first class where we
acculturation
had
into a
to
new society
make exam
is often
questions.
difficult
And I
for
really
many
liked that.
immigrants.
I was like, why are
And
we
the
making our
process of
own exam
acculturation
questions? And
is
then I realized,
involuntary, and a member of the
because,
non dominant cultural group is forced to learn the
hmm.
new culture to survive. Individuals experience second
Hmm.
culture acquisition when they must live within or between
Hmm.
cultures.
Yeah. And
In the
but yeah, when
US,
I
it is
first started, I was
generally
like,
assumed
oh,
that
I
the
get it, because
usual
you're teaching
course
us
of
how to
acculturation takes two
educate people
generations.
with making those
Thus, the
questions.
adult grandchild of an
So I
immigrant
did
is
have,
considered fully Americanized.
they're all multiple choice, and
There are also levels of
oh, they're not.
acculturation.
Oh, okay.
Bicultural individuals function
Oh, okay.
equally
I
well
was
in their
mistaken then.
own
Sorry.
culture and the dominant culture.
So there'll be like short
Traditional
and long,
individuals hold on to most,
um,
if not all,
like for
of
type.
their
I
traits
can't
from
think
their
of the
culture of
term now.
origin.
Short.
Marginal individuals, individuals who seem not to have any
Sorry, I'm
real
taking 5
contact with
classes.
traits from
I thought it
either
was
culture,
multiple choice.
and acculturated individuals. They have given up most of their traits of origin for those of the dominant culture.
Okay, I
It is
have it up.
important to assess the degree of acculturation when working in a multicultural setting, as there is a natural tendency for some individuals to resist acculturation. This resistance can lead to significant misunderstandings and the inability to establish
Oh,
meaningful
I'm
and
in
mutually beneficial working relationships
4574.
between the healthcare practitioner and those he or she may be seeking to help or influence. Assimilation.
Hmm. Yeah.
Assimilation is the process of becoming, in all ways, like the members of the dominant culture. The process of assimilation encompasses various aspects, such as cultural or behavioral, marital,
Yeah,
identification, and
multiple
civic.
choice, true, false, and fill
The
in the blank.
underlying
I
assumption is
okay.
that the person from a given cultural group loses this cultural identity in order to acquire the new one.
Hmm. Okay.
The
Well, thank
concepts
you.
of socialization, assimilation, and acculturation are complex and sensitive. The dominant society expects that all immigrants are in the process of acculturation and assimilation, and that the worldview we
It's
share
okay.
as healthcare practitioners is shared by our patients. However,
It's
we
okay.
also live in a
Sorry.
pluralistic society where many variations of health beliefs and practices exist.
Sorry, I'm just really
The US is
anxious.
often described as a melting pot of cultures. However, this description is very
Hmm.
inaccurate and potentially destructive
Sorry.
way
I
to
am.
view American culture and society.
I know.
A
I'm
more
just really.
accurate metaphor is that this great country is a beautiful, colorful
Yeah.
patchwork quilt that reflects our diverse
I have.
culture
Yeah.
and
Um.
history and
Sorry. Just
shapes our
I have
future.
a lot going on. Um.